So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. You get back here, BSN Network. This is a BSN Network podcast here today. It is Thursday, February 17th. Hope everybody's who had a good day yesterday and is having a good day so far today. It is in fact Thursday, February 17th here today, coming off another big night last night in the world of sports. As you see, I am wearing my Kevin Durant City Edition jersey on today. The other day I wore my Joyce Irving City Edition jersey on Wednesday after their really nice win on Tuesday. Or on Monday I wore it on Tuesday. Yesterday, obviously yesterday was normal, and then today got my jersey back on. So Monday I was wearing, Tuesday I was wearing the City Edition jersey, Joyce Irving City Edition jersey on Tuesday, and today I'm back at it again with the Kevin Durant City Edition jersey as the Brooklyn Nets got the win last night. Wild comeback. I mean, a wild comeback. 28-point comeback, and it really was it's hard to explain. I'm going to talk about it in the first topic, so forgive me if I bounce all over the place because so much happened, so much went on. It was a crazy game. It was a wild game, and for the Nets to come out and get a win like that is really great to see. And for a team that has been struggling so much, we obviously got the win on Monday, but to now come back, get a win like we did last night, down 28, and to just be able to bounce back and now get two straight wins, and now just really it's a different team. And I mean, we started that game terrible, don't get me wrong. I mean, it was awful. We went into the second quarter down 20. We almost allowed the Knicks to score 40 points in the first quarter. It was unacceptable. It was bad. It was awful. Our shooting was terrible. But down the stretch, Cam Thomas was huge. 16 points in the fourth quarter. Total, he had 21 for the game. Just a great win. And a great win last night for the Nets. And for the Knicks, it's another terrible loss. And for the Knicks, is another one of these losses that you just wonder each time they blow these leads. You wonder, can it get much worse? And last night, yet again, it's like they found a new way to hit a new low. And it seems as if all these types of losses for the Knicks this season, where they're blowing leads or they're getting blown out or they're playing bad down the stretch, it's like, okay, we hit rock bottom. And yet again last night, it's like they found a new low. They found a new rock bottom. And for the Nets, I'm happy. I'm excited. It's a good day. And for the Knicks, it's you go into the All-Star break with an absolute brutal performance down the stretch and you blow a 28-point lead. So, Nets get the win last night. Rangers, Islanders back in action tonight. Rangers had a day off yesterday. Islanders as well. Rangers tonight back at the Garden against the Red Wings. And the Islanders are back home, UBS Arena, against the Bruins. So Bruins obviously played against the Rangers on Tuesday night. They stay in the New York area. They are in Long Island against the Islanders tonight in UBS Arena. So Rangers, Islanders tonight. Nets, second half of a back-to-back. Also tonight, this is the final game until the All-Star break. So final game for another week. Our first game come out of the All-Star break will be Thursday, February 24th. So a week from today, the Nets will play the Celtics. So tonight's it. Tonight's the final game before the All-Star break. And look, you have a emotional, crazy win last night. You hope that you can come back today and get a win and go into the All-Star break where you were on an 11-game losing streak. You now hope you can go into the All-Star break with a win tonight with a 3-game win streak. And you hope that you come out of the All-Star break with the expectation of you're only going to get healthier. Ben Simmons should start to play. KD should return shortly after that. And, maybe if the mandates start changing, Kyrie could then jump in for all of the games, both home and on the road. So Nets, Wizards tonight. Knicks are officially on the All-Star break. Rangers, Islanders are back in action tonight. Rangers at home against the Red Wings, and the Islanders at home as well against the Bruins. Alrighty, so let's get to the topics for today's podcast. A lot to get to today on the podcast. Two basketball topics. I know you obviously had the craziness around Aaron Judge, and not really craziness, but he said today he was on a podcast today, the R2C2 podcast, but with CC Sabathia. I listened to that podcast a lot. It's a great podcast. CC Sabathia and Ryan Rucco, and they were talking about just about the contract and stuff. So his what he kind of said kind of gives you a little bit of speculation that he wants to get a deal done. Judge wants to be an extension, wants to get an extension because after this year, he's going to be a free agent. So you kind of have to put that in perspective. Today, the MLBPA met for 15 minutes, so who knows if there is even going to be a season. So I plan on getting to that stuff tomorrow. I definitely want to get to Judge tomorrow, and if anything else pops up in the world of sports. But today I'm going to get to the Nets comeback win versus the Knicks. Talk about the Nets first. I'm going to get to the great win for the Nets. Down 28. It was ugly basketball in the first half. You go into the first half down by 19. It's like what's going on here? Or down by 21? And it's like, what's going on here? It's like, this is bad. It's brutal. And it's just like, this isn't good. So you come out of the second half. They were playing a little bit better. Outscored them in the third quarter by 7. Then go into the fourth quarter and at a 38-point fourth quarter, Nets get the win. So I'm going to get to the Nets, talk about them, talk about the wildness last night at the Garden. I'm also going to talk about the Knicks and another dysfunctional breakdown for a Knicks team that continues to look worse and worse night in and night out. So we'll get to that. I also want to get to the Rutgers basketball. Got another win last night against a top 25 team in the 12th ranked Illinois came to town against Rutgers at the RAC Jersey Mike's Arena. And Rutgers was able to pull out yet again another win. So it's a big topic around college basketball. It's a big topic in the world of sports right now that they are playing at a high level. 4 straight wins against ranked teams. And should Rutgers be a top 25 team if they take care of business this weekend against Saturday? I'll give you that. And also the chances of them getting into the March Madness without having to win out in the Big Ten tournament. We'll get to Rutgers and their recent success, and we'll also get to the New York sports update as well. Rangers, Islanders tonight. Rangers against the Red Wings, Islanders against the Bruins, and the Nets wrap up their first half of the season against the Wizards at Barclays tonight, and the Knicks wrapped up theirs last night by blowing a 28-point lead to the Brooklyn Nets. It's great to say that. I love saying that. I've said it a lot today. By the way, call me crazy, say whatever you want. I've probably watched that Cam Thomas three-pointer like 7 to 10 times now. Probably 10 times at this point, maybe even more. And every time I keep watching it, it's like, I'm just like, I can't believe we completed that comeback. I can't. And I know the Knicks have struggled this season. I get that. But it's just like, we were so flat. So, let's get into it. This is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. Alrighty, so, like I was just saying, last night, the Brooklyn Nets got the win 111-106, and moved to 31-27 on the season. Got a game tonight against the Wizards, and the Knicks fell to 25-34 on the season, so 9 games below 500, and they are now heading into the All-Star break. Yet again, heading into the All-Star break, losers of 3 in a row. And you kind of look at this Knicks team right now, and it's bad. You don't have a point guard. You're blowing games left and right. And last night was yet again another example of that. And I'll tell you what, I'm a fan. I react to what's happening in the moment. I am one of those fans. I know there's always those different fans, that there are some fans that don't really react much until the end of the game. They won't say much until the game's over. And there's fans that will react to almost every play, will react to almost every possession. If something's bad, they'll say it's bad, and that's kind of the fan I am. So I got to admit, going into halftime, I had absolutely no hope about this game. I was super frustrated going into halftime. I'm on Bleacher Report, if any of you know that, so you could post stuff. I was posting all sorts of stuff about the Nets and how bad they were playing, and how much, how bad they were playing, how they weren't shooting, and how a Knicks team that's been so bad all year is looking like a finals contender, and they're a 12 seed. It was ugly. It was really bad. And as a fan, I was so frustrated. it was probably maybe the most frustrated I've been all year, because it's such a dysfunctional New York Knicks team that you go into that game and it's like, yeah, you're coming off of such a high against the Kings, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond. It's like a newfound energy, and to just get blown out like that in the first half was completely abysmal as a fan. Like, sitting there, I was like, what is this? I'm like, we took a giant step forward and now we're taking a bunch of steps backwards. And then the Nets come out in the second half and completely dominate. And they come out in the second half and they start hitting some shots. And they start playing some basketball. And they start really, they really start to, really start to put some pressure on the Knicks. Really start to step up on the defensive end. Really start to get to the basket, make shots, spread the ball around. In the first half, it was a whole lot of Patty Mills shooting, a whole lot of misses, a whole lot of getting to the net and misses. It was a whole lot of missed free throws. It was a whole lot of ugliness. It was a whole lot of losing basketball. It was a whole lot of, if you want to lose a game, play like the Brooklyn Nets did in the first half. And the way we came out in the second half shows you the difference in this team now than what it was even just a couple days ago when James Harden was still a member of the Nets. Because this is a team that, beginning of the season, down 28, probably would have lost by like 35. Down 28 now, even if we would have lost, it was probably going to be like 15, but we still would have battled. We still would have fought. And this team came out in the second half with a newfound energy. Came out in the second half almost playing like, they came out in the second half with their hair on fire, to be honest with you. A lot of great hustle plays. I mean, the final couple possessions, I can't say enough. I mean, Blake Griffin getting the steal, late in the game, and then you had the Patty Mills, the moment where he was would put his arm out and hit the ball back in to Bruce Brown to save it from going out of bounds, which would have been Knicks basketball, and who knows what happens there. Like, watching that game last night from the first half to the second half, you talk about two completely different basketball teams. What we saw in the first half was a team that looked like a G League team going up against the 90s Bulls. And what we saw in the second half was the Nets this time being the 90s Bulls and the Knicks being the G League team. And look, I get it, it's the Knicks. I understand that. But when you go on the road at Madison Square Garden, it's a rivalry. I get that. And I get people are like, oh, it's just the Knicks. But I don't care who you're playing. To come back from down 28 in a game is remarkable. To be that bad in the first half and come out in the second half and play that good. To barely score 40 points in the first half and to be able to put up 111 in the total in the entire game overall. That last night could be one of those wins where it really changes how this season's playing out. Because look, we beat the Kings, and I get that was nice. We were expected to beat the Kings. We took care of business. And I don't care who you're playing. If you fall down by 28, to come back and beat a team, I don't care if it's the Pistons, I don't care if it's the Magic, I don't care if it's the Knicks, I don't care if it's the Phoenix Suns, who right now look like a serious threat. Whoever it is, to come back from 28 is phenomenal. And a great win last night by the Brooklyn Nets. And look, now we got to do it again tonight. And tonight I'm kind of in that mindset of prepared to be underwhelmed because second half of back-to-back, emotional win, late night. It's one of those things where back-to-backs aren't easy, especially, I know it's still on the road, but still, back-to-backs are never easy, especially when it's a game like that and it takes that kind of effort. And an excellent effort last night by the Brooklyn Nets. And really just super, super, super excited to see what this team can do at full strength. Because we saw last night glimpses of what this team can do, in terms of Cam Thomas and how he can really catch fire. And we saw what Seth Curry can do. Andre Drummond had 19 rebounds last night. The Nets have not had a rebounding force like that in forever. We have not had a rebounding force like that in a while. We out-rebounded them 51-44, second straight game now. We've out-rebounded our opponent. Drummond had a double-double, 11 points and 19 rebounds. We're really starting to see the potential and what this team can do throughout the rest of this season. And we're not even at full strength yet. And last night, was it the prettiest win ever? Like I said, no, it's not. But it was tough. It was gritty. You went into halftime, could have very easily said, look, It just isn't our night. And we could have lost by 30 and you could have moved on to tonight's game. But no, they kept playing, they kept fighting, they kept battling. Big shots down the stretch. I mean, Cam Thomas, I said it earlier. I've watched the replay now probably like 10 times. Call me crazy, call me whatever you want. I don't care. I've enjoyed every minute I've watched that replay. I've enjoyed every second of it. And every time I've watched it today, and even last night, and even live, I was going nuts when it was live. I mean, I was ecstatic. We were down 20 in the first quarter. You thought in the third, going into the fourth quarter, I said this game's over. This game's done. I was kind of watching the game at that point just to get it done with and move on to tonight's game. But no, the Nets found a way. They found a way. They grinded it out. They got the win. They played with a lot of energy. And for the first time now, for the first time I feel like all season, this team's finally playing together. There's finally a sense of structure. There's finally some excitement. There's finally some energy. There's finally a sense of this team I could truly see doing things. This team is not like this team's energized. It's fun to watch. It's not like the Harden Nets where it was dribble, shoot. There's passing, there's ball movement, there's screens, there's transition offense, there's driving, there's getting to the net, finishing. Yeah, there's drawing fouls, but there's not looking for fouls all the time either. There's rebounding. Excellent win last night for the Brooklyn Nets to come back from down 28. They never ask how, they only ask how many. Nets now get their 31st win of the season, and now we come back tonight and play the Wizards. Like I said, I'm expecting a little bit of a slower start. I don't think we're going to come out of the gate as hot as we finish the game because, look, back-to-back, emotional win like that, sometimes that takes a lot out of a team. But how great would it be? Trade James Harden, you win against the Kings, you come back from 28 against the Knicks on the road last night, and then if you can win tonight and go into the All-Star break with a 3-game win streak, and you only know you're just going to get assets coming out of the break. You know Simmons is going to be coming soon. You know KD is going to be coming back. Kyrie plays road games. Hopefully he can play home games. You know you're only going to get better. And tonight's an opportunity to get another win. Cam Thomas' shot was excellent. It was great, if I haven't said that enough. I do question why Drummond wasn't in the game late. He only had 1 foul. So it wasn't like he was in any foul trouble or he had 5 fouls or he fouled out. I like Drummond a lot. I really do. And I want to see, I know it's his only second game, so I'm not going to complain. And off a 28-point comeback, and I know he's at the stage, he's 28 years old, but he got drafted in 2012. So he's been in the league for 9 years. He got drafted at a young age. He's 28. But he's been in the league for, 9 years? So that's a long time. So yeah, he's only 28, but for a guy who got drafted very young, it's not like he got drafted at 23. He got drafted at 21. I know the goal, I know he's not going to get 40 minutes a night, but for a guy in 23 minutes to put up 19 rebounds and 11 points. I know Cam Thomas, and he's the big story today, and rightfully so. He hit the big shots, but Drummond's presence it makes this team that much better. It really does. Because, and I've said it so many times, something the Nets have been lacking. They've been lacking it so much since Jared Allen left, is a true rebounder. And now in just 2 games, he's averaging, 14.5 rebounds per game? And we'll see what he can do again tonight. So, just some numbers. The starters, Johnson had 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 6 personal fouls, so he fouled out. He had 14 points in 32 minutes. Bruce Brown had 5 rebounds and 1 assist and 9 points. Drummond, like I said, 19 rebounds, 11 points was a double-double. He also added on 2 assists. Patty Mills had 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and 8 points. Mills is going through a little bit of a rough patch, definitely, within shooting. There's no doubt about it. Went 2 of 13 last night and 2 of 9 from 3. Definitely a little bit of a rough patch for him. A guy who right now is going through, like I said, a rough patch and is going through what a lot of players go through in a season where you have 3-4 games where you're really bad. For his personal sake, it stinks that it's right before the 3-point competition because he could be in it, but we'll see how all that goes. And then Seth Curry had another excellent game. Went 6 of 9 from 3, shot 50% from the field, 7 of 14, 36 minutes, had 1 rebound. He had 6 assists and 20 points. And the leader coming off the bench was Cam Thomas, who had 5 points the first 3 quarters and had 16 in the fourth. 30 minutes, 9 to 21 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3, 4 rebounds, added on 2 assists, and had 21 points. And 3 of those 21 points was the big game icer with about, 6 seconds left. That iced the game and got the win. Nets overall as a team shot 43.9%, so not great, but it was enough to get the win. And they got shot 32% from 3, 51 rebounds, 21 assists, 16 fouls, and obviously 111 points scored. And now we go to the other team in New York, and that is the dysfunctional New York Knicks, who blow the lead last night. And believe me, I've been a part of both. I was a part of the side last night where they blew the lead, and I was a part of the side last night where they came back, and I've been a part of the side where they've blown the lead. So I know what Knicks fans are going through right now, and I also know it's because this is not the first time the Knicks have blown a lead this season. I don't know exactly how many blown leads they had. I know there is something that's truly considered like a blown lead. Like if you have a 1-point lead with 5 minutes left and you don't win the game, it's not really considered blowing a lead. If you have a 10-point lead with 3 minutes left and you lose, that's concerning. If you have a 28-point lead and you lose the game, that's an issue. Last night, Knicks blow the 28-point lead. And I continue to say it with this Knicks team. I continue to say it. I said it a couple days ago. I'll say it again today. This team doesn't have a point guard. They don't have a true guy who can really step up in big moments, dish out assists, make some big shots, really run an offense. Kemba Walker right now is their point guard, and last night he played 21 minutes and had 9 points. And 3 assists. He did nothing. And that's really kind of been the way this season. They gave him a big deal in the offseason. What was it? 4 years, something $1 million deal in the offseason, and he really hasn't been anything special. It's actually been a pretty big disappointment. You bring in a veteran, you bring in a guy who's got a lot of potential, bring in a guy who's been really good throughout his career when he's healthy. And last night, he only played 21 minutes. He only had 9 points. They don't have a point guard. And one of the things we said at the beginning of the season, or I said, and I know many Knicks fans said it as well, the Knicks needed a point guard in the offseason. They failed to address it. Throughout this season, go on. They're 25-34 right now. Trade deadline comes up a couple weeks, couple days ago. Never address it. The Knicks, Leon Rose, has failed to address the needs of this team. The need right now is a point guard. That was the need last year. It was the need in the offseason. It's been the need this year. It's been the need when the trade deadline came and went. And the Knicks didn't make any moves. The Knicks stayed silent. The Knicks stayed pat. This is not only on Thibodeau. This is also on Leon Rose. Because he was the one who constructed this roster. He was the guy who felt that, okay, it's all right. Kemba Walker's a good point guard. I get that. He's a good guard, but he's not always a point guard. He's a solid player, but he's not a guy he's not a Damian Lillard. He's not one of the elite. He's not a Kyrie. He's not one of the elite ball handlers in the league. He's Kemba Walker. He's a guy coming off a couple knee. He's had some knee issues. He's later on in his career. This is on a lot of guys. It's not even so much just the roster of the Knicks. It's really on just the people in charge. It's really just the staff. It's the coaching and Thibodeau. Because something that's concerning is if Thibodeau can't get his guys to play for a full 48 minutes, great, good. They played for, good for them. They played for 36 minutes. They blew the final 12 minutes in the fourth quarter. Good. He's not able to get the guys to play for a full 48 minutes. He's not able to get the guys to play for a full 4 quarters. We've seen it many times. This is not the first time this season we've seen this. Yet again, last night was another example of Thibodeau failing the team not playing up to potential down the stretch. Easing up on defense, backing off on defense, not providing much pressure. Maybe not taking, maybe dribbling the ball out, maybe trying to juice too much time off the clock, not being as aggressive. That's on the coach. He decides to do that. So, to be honest, when I look at this Knicks team right now, I understand the first guys to blame are Randall. I get that. And Randle was terrible down the stretch, and I get that. He started the game really well. He was really bad down the stretch. Missed some free throws. I get that. I understand that. And believe me, that he's part of it. But really, when you look at it, and really when you take a deep look into this team, and you really take a deep dive into what's happening with this team, it's kind of got to be blamed on the coaches, and the front office. Because the front office has failed to truly address the needs of this team, and the coaching staff isn't giving the guys proper minutes. Great, Obi Toppin played 11 minutes last night. Great, that's really what you want your 8th overall pick in the draft to be playing every night? 11 minutes? How are you supposed to gauge a guy? And so if he's not the plan for the future, okay, who's going to want him right now? He has no trade value right now because he's not playing. So even if you want to trade him, even if you don't play, 11 minutes a night's not going to get you much in return. I'll tell you that for sure. I mean, geez, Emmanuel quickly finally played 21 minutes last night. He played pretty well. He shot 70% from the field. I mean, even Cam Reddish only played 13 minutes. I understand he was terrible. He went 1 of 5 from the field, but still. And when guys are getting 8 to 11 minutes tonight, it's hard to play consistent. So I understand there's issues with the roster, and I get that. But a big reason why there's issues with this roster, and I understand Julius Randle and all that stuff, and I've been very critical of Julius Randle on this show. But it lies a lot on the coaches and a lot on the front office. Because the coaches, first of all, Thibodeau is not distributing time enough. And down the stretch, this team's just not playing well enough, which is a lot because of the coaches. You know, coaches, they get conservative, they start to back off, they try to drain too much time, and they blow games. And for Leon Rose in this front office, I mean, right, you got to... Last year, sure, it worked. The reality is, at this point, this team overachieved last season. It was empty arenas. It was a weird year. COVID season. Some postponements, some weird stuff going on. They got to the postseason. And I'm not trying to downgrade what they did last year from being one of the worst teams in the league to getting to a 5 seed or a 4 seed, right? I'm not trying to downgrade that. All I'm saying is the true colors are now showing that this team really isn't that good. And another thing, too, is Julius Randle, and this is part of on Leon Rose. Julius Randle on like a good team is probably a number 3 option. Number 2 on an average team. Number 1 on a bad team. The reality is the Knicks are a bad team. Julius Randle's not a number 1. There's only a select few number 1s in the league. I've always said that. There's only a select few number 1s in the league. LeBron James is a number 1. Clear, obvious number 1. LeBron James, I'll just give you some examples. Like LeBron James is a 1. A 2 is like a Paul George. Or like a Kyrie. Kyrie's a 2. Kyrie's not a 1, I've always said it. A 1 means a guy who can take a team and carry them to a championship. Kyrie's not that. Kyrie's great. Kyrie's been awesome for the Nets, but he's not that. He's a 2. He strives when he has another all-star, another great on his team. We saw it in Cleveland. Boston never worked out. We're seeing it here in Brooklyn. Him and KD have fit very well together in the games they've played together. But you get what I'm saying, right? And Julius Randle's probably a 3. If you were to put the Julius Randle on the Nets right now, he'd be a 4th. He'd be the 4th. He'd be behind KD, Kyrie, Simmons, and then it would be Randle. Randle's trying to be a 1. The Knicks are trying to make Randle a 1. It's not working. It's the coaches, it's the front office, and it's also just some of the guys just not playing well. But when you look at the minutes distribution too, it's like, what's happening here? Really? It's just not good. So right now the Knicks are bad. And I think during this All-Star break, I think you need to pull Thibodeau into a room. I truly do, and say, look, if we don't see any progress in his team, you're going to have to go. Like in the second half of the season, you're not making the playoffs. His season's over. Play the young guys. See what you got. And if you want to go in the offseason, and if Thibodeau's not a huge fan of these young players, okay, play them so their trade value gets up. Right now, Obi Toppin playing 11 minutes is not going to get his trade value up. And I'm sure it's getting frustrating for some of these players to not be getting the minutes that they deserve. I mean, you went out and gave up assets. You traded for Cam Reddish. Why is he only getting 13 minutes? Explain that. So, a lot of problems with the Knicks. And last night, yet again, it hit rock bottom. And probably throughout the rest of the season in the second half, they'll find ways to hit rock bottom again. They started so well. I mean, they started great, and they just didn't finish. Overall, as a team, shot 43.5% from the field, and we had shot 37.2% from three, which was better than Nets' field overall. Nets had the better percentage. The Knicks fall 111-106, and finished the first half of the season with a 25-34 record, and the Knicks go into the All-Star break at a 12 seed right now. And if the season would end today, Knicks would be a 12 seed, and they'd be on their way into the off-season and facing a lot of questions. So if they want to get this season turned around, there's going to have to be things that need to be changed, whether that's lineups, minutes, whatever it is. Because coming out of the All-Star break, I'll tell you what, they got the Heat, they got the 76ers. They got the Heat. Let me just give you their schedule coming out of the All-Star break. It's brutal. It's the Heat, 76ers back-to-back, then it's the Suns, then they go on a West Coast trip. It's the Suns, Clippers, Kings, Mavericks, Grizzlies, then the Nets. So it's bad. Their March schedule is really, really hard. So they got their hands full. And right now, I don't see them winning many of those games if they continue to play the way they are. So Nets get the win, Knicks take a loss, and the Nets are back in action tonight against the Wizards. Alrighty, so coming up, we're going to get to the Rutgers basketball recent success. Yes, you have heard that right. Rutgers playing really well right now. Last season was a March Madness team. This year, early on, did not have much success, but recently they have been one of the best teams, one of the hottest teams, probably the hottest team in college basketball. I'm going to tell you why Rutgers should be ranked and why they should be getting a bid into the March Madness tournament, even if they don't win out in the Big Ten. I'll tell you why coming up next. All right, so we welcome you back here up on the BSN Network podcast here today, Thursday, February 17th. Another good night last night. Another very exciting night last night. Nets got the 28-point comeback win like I talked about in the first topic. And now we're going to get to another positive thing right now in the world of college basketball, in the world of basketball anyway, and that is Rutgers. Rutgers Scarlet Knights are going to get some Rutgers here. I haven't talked Rutgers since when their team made the bowl game. So Rutgers, we're going to get to some college basketball here. So obviously college basketball right now is in full swing. And we're getting closer and closer, and we're only 5 games left for Rutgers on their schedule. 5 games until the Big Ten tournament, until the tournaments begin, and then it's Selection Sunday. And right now, craziness. This is the part of the year where teams start to get hot. This is the part of the years where you see teams, you see teams that maybe at the beginning of the season were kind of, in the middle, start to separate themselves. And this is also part of the year where you get those 5 teams, those 3 to 5 teams that are like your clear-cut favorites to win it, and you got to watch out for them. Then you start to find out the under-the-radar teams. Then you kind of find out like the true underdogs, and maybe the Cinderella story teams that have like a wild chance, like a Loyola Chicago, whichever year. You got to put them into the equation. But right now, I think the hottest team in college basketball, and I don't think there's much argument, the numbers show it, 4 ranked wins in a row, after they took a loss in Northwestern against Northwestern 79-78 to start February, on February 1st in overtime. Rutgers has now won 4 games in a row, and all 4 of those games have been against AP top 25 Big Ten teams. And right now, Rutgers is the hottest team in Big Ten. And last night, they got the win over Illinois by a score of 70-59, and they dominated from the start, went into halftime with a 9-point lead, only expanded on that lead, outscored them by 2 in the second half, and got an 11-point win, and their offense was amazing. Put up 70 points. Defense shut down an Illinois, offense with Kofi Cockburn and guys like Kofi Cockburn and what's that other guy? Cockburn and Curbelo. A lot of good guys on that. A lot of good guys on that roster. And you also have Plummer on that roster, who's a 3-point, can be a 3-point threat, can score, can get to the basket, can be a solid scorer, can be a solid asset. And Rutgers shut him down. And Rutgers completely shut them down, and they were at home. And one thing I will tell you, as much people make fun of Rutgers football, and rightfully so, they've been the laughingstock of college football for about good 5-6 years now. Really, ever since they've entered the Big Ten, they've been the laughingstock of college football, and rightfully so. I mean, they've been awful. And I know Greg Schiano and them have led them to, got them to a bowl game this season, with a, COVID, eliminated, I believe Texas A&M was, they were, Rutgers was able to come in, fill in their spot. It didn't go well. They got crushed, but still, they were in a bowl game, and that's all that. But there's something about this basketball team, and it's been this way the past couple years, that last night, yet again, I was watching a little bit of the game before the Nets game on. And the team right now, like I said, I kind of talk about with the Nets in the first topic. Like, Rutgers right now is they're playing together as a team. And right now, they're spreading out the ball. They're making good passes. They're getting to the rim. They're being physical. They almost shot 50% last night from the field. I mean, they shot 47.5% from the field. They're taking good shots. They're getting good looks. They're taking advantage. They're taking what the defense is giving them. Illinois is a team who has a very good defense. Illinois is the 12th ranked team in the nation, a team who very well could go deep in the tournament. Even despite losing Ayo Dosunmu, obviously he's now in the NBA, playing with the Bulls and having a solid rookie season, nothing special, but is doing his job as a role player with the Bulls. They're still a top-end team. They're still a high-end team in the Big Ten, and a Rutgers team, too, who also shows you how much they've improved. A team who got smoked by them the first time they met early in the season. I believe it was like 81-56 or something. It was terrible. And right now, we saw it again last night. Another sellout crowd at the rack. Another sellout crowd. Student section going wild. Rutgers playing with a lot of energy. Right now, without a doubt, Rutgers is the hottest team in college basketball. And right now, Rutgers does deserve to get ranked. Because when you see wins against Illinois and you see wins against Ohio State and go on the road and beat Wisconsin, which is never an easy place to play, beat Michigan State, which I know lost to Penn State and has been really struggling, but still, it's Michigan State, it's a Big Ten team, and it's a Rutgers team who at the beginning of the season was kind of one of those teams that you got to watch out for, lost some guys in the transfer portal, lost some key players, but now everything's starting to come together. And for a team that has struggled a lot in the beginning of the season, I mean, losing games to Lafayette, losing to UMass, to start the month they lost to Northwestern, losing to Minnesota on the road, some really bad losses, losing to Penn State. There has been some bad losses. But I don't care what your beginning of your season resume looks like. Beating 4 teams in a row, 3 of them at home, taking care of home court advantage in which they're 13-2 at home this season. And oh, by the way, they've won 16 games, so they've won 13 of their 16 games have been at home. They've been pretty much unstoppable this season at home. And now you got to go on the road against Purdue, and they proved against Wisconsin that they can beat a good team on the road. There's not much else this Rutgers team needs to prove to show us that they deserve to be in the tournament and that they deserve to be ranked and that they should be held as a team that could cause some chaos. It could be one of those underrated teams that might be able to make a little bit of a run. I'm not saying they're going to win the national championship. I'm not saying they're on the level of Gonzaga or on the level of, like a Gonzaga, or I'm trying to think of maybe a team that's like solid but not great, like a Villanova, right? They're a good team. I wouldn't say Villanova's the favorite to win it all, but like a good team like that, right? A UCLA is really solid, right? But they beat Purdue. Purdue's up there. I mean, they've proven that they can beat teams. And they continue to prove it. And I always say this, I think one of the biggest things in sports, and I've always said this in sports, if you can win on the road, which Rutgers, I will admit, has struggled this season on the road. They're 3-7 on the road this year. But if you can win on the road, that's great. But one of the most important things I've always said is defending your home court. Because everybody always talks about in sports, home field advantage, home court advantage, whatever it is, home ice advantage, whatever it is. We always talk. That's why teams play hard in the regular season. They want to get to the playoffs. For football, they want to get that first round bye. They want to clinch home field advantage throughout. Baseball, same thing. Football, same thing. Basketball, same thing. I know March Madness is not home, but if you could defend your home court and you could, Anytime you get a home game, players love playing home. Nobody likes to be on the road. Not many players like to play on the road, right? And they've had 15 home games this season. They're 13-2 in those 15 games. And three of these four games are at home. They're taking advantage of that. They're winning these big games at home. And look, they got 2 more home games this year. One against Wisconsin on the 26th next weekend, and then one more at Penn State or against Penn State. 5 games left, 3 at home, 2 at home, 3 are on the road. If they can finish this 5-game slate with a 3-2 record or even a 4-1 record, and they get to the 20 win mark, and let's just say they go 3-1, let's say they go 4-1 in the final 5 games, and they finish 20-10. And you look at their resume, and you look at their wins, and you look at what they've done, specifically the last 4 games, it shows you they are a March Madness team. And they are a team that no longer a month ago we all had them having to win out in the Big Ten. Now we can kind of say, look, if they win 2 games in the Big Ten tournament, maybe they get to the finals and lose, they're in. Yeah, if they lose first round of the Big Ten tournament, maybe not. But this is a team now that should be able to get a bid really no matter what happens in the Big Ten tournament. And they got a big game this weekend against Purdue because they beat Purdue when they were number 1 in the nation at home. If you can go on the road and beat Purdue, who's now number 5 in the nation, still a top 5 team, if you can do that, that says a whole lot about the team. And for a team that, like I said, early in the season, lost against, early in the season, like I said, lost against DePaul, which isn't a bad team, but DePaul, this season, they are, not a bad, they're not a terrible team, but nothing special. They're a beatable team. To lose against DePaul, who this season, I apologize, this season has not been good. They're 12-12. They're 3-11 in their conference, and the only team behind them is the only team that they're ahead of is Georgetown, who's 0-14 in their conference. You look at a loss against Lafayette at home early in the year. You went on the road and lost to UMass. Some bad losses here. They lost to Seton Hall. They got crushed by Seton Hall, right? There were some bad losses. They lost, like I said, 86-51 against Illinois. But they've had some big wins as well. And I understand they got crushed too against Penn State. But to show that now they beat Illinois, and now they go on the road and beat in Wisconsin, and they're beating these good teams, it's now showing that they are a much better team. They're playing together. They're taking good shots. Ron Harper Jr., Geo Baker. I mean, there's so many good guys. There's so many pieces to this team. Cliff Omarui, CJ McConnell. There's so many guys in this team that are making big-time impacts. Look at their starting lineup yesterday. 4 of the 5 players scored in double digits. 16 points from Ron Harper, 15 points from Cliff Omarui, who also added on 13 rebounds. 13 points from Paul McCahey, and CJ McConnell Caleb McConnell, I'm sorry, I called him CJ McConnell. I'm thinking CJ McCollum. Caleb McConnell had 11. Also added on 7 rebounds. They out-rebounded Illinois last night, 46-28. They almost out-rebounded them by a full 20 rebounds. For a team that has Kofi Coburn, who got 10 rebounds, but other than that, there wasn't much help. This Rutgers team's legit. A team that truly should be a true threat and should be a team that's taken seriously down the stretch in these final 5 games of the season. And I'm just going to read you a little bit more of their resume here. So took some notes earlier before I did this. So their last 4 games. Now, the teams that they are ranked, these are before the games. I know Michigan State's lower now and all that, but this is when they beat them. This was their ranking. So Rutgers won 84-63 versus Michigan State. Rutgers beat Ohio State, 16th ranked team in the nation, 66-64. Rutgers beat 14th ranked team in the nation, Wisconsin, 73-65. And Rutgers beat the 12th ranked team in the nation last night in Illinois, 70-59. And like I said, to start all this, it was 13th ranked team in the nation, Michigan State. Now, their overall NCAA resume. Overall record, 16-9. They're on a 4-game win streak. Their home record is 13-2. Their away record's not good. It's 3-7. And I'm not denying that. But they've defended home court. So 13-2 at home. Away record's 3-7. Their Big Ten record is now all the way up to 10-5. Their record versus 8B top 25 teams is 4-1. Their record versus Quad 1 is 5-3. Net rankings 81. Their best win is was when Purdue was number 1 ranked team in the nation when Ron Harper Jr. hit that buzzer beater half-court shot to win 70-68. And their leading scorer this season, Ron Harper Jr., who's averaging 15.7 points per game and is 11th in the Big Ten in that category. So they got some assets. They've had some big wins. They've had, and when you talk about quality of wins, so I'm throwing my pen at myself. When you talk about quality of wins, Rutgers has checked all those boxes. And when the voters, when they go in to decide who's going to be in, who's not, who's in, who's out, all that stuff. When they go in to decide all that, they a lot of times look at home court. They a lot of times look at beating big teams. They a lot of times look at their conference record. How do they fare against those big teams in big games? And Rutgers in the spotlight has been excellent this season. And last night, yet again, was a huge stepping stone, was a huge step forward towards their quest for, yet again, another March Madness berth, second straight year in a row. And what Steve Pikiell has done to this team, they were the laughingstock of college basketball. What he has turned this team into is nothing short of remarkable. I mean, he took a team that was a laughingstock of college basketball, took a team that was losing, not good at all, just losing, just not good enough players. He took a team, and look, this team is not flashy in terms of all these flashy recruits. It's not like a team that's got a starting lineup full of 4 stars and 5 stars. No, it's a team that's got tough, gritty players that want to win, that are good team players. They're an old school type team. They play an old school type of basketball, and they win. And that's how they're doing it. They're tough. They're gritty. They play with a lot of energy. It's an old school type basketball, and the Rutgers is doing it. And last night, yet again, was another example of how good this team can be with the 70-59 win against Illinois. And now they have a matchup, 5:30 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, FS1, against Purdue in Purdue. Which, if they win that, no doubt about that, they should be top 25. You can make the argument should be top 20. So we'll see how it all goes. But right now, Rutgers is a very, very hot team. And I think the hottest team in college basketball. And the numbers speak it. The numbers show it right now. There's no doubt about it. So, very good win last night for Rutgers. Continue their 4-game win streak. And there's a real possibility that after that loss to Northwestern, whether it was Steve Pikiell, Geo Baker, somebody like that, whoever it was, there's a good chance that he said, look, if we want to save look, guys, we got 5 ranked games coming up. I mean, if you're a Rutgers fan and you're looking at that schedule, looking at that game, they lost by 1 against Northwestern, who's not good. I don't care it's on the road. It's Northwestern, they're not good. To lose by 1 against them in overtime. To have to go to overtime against that team to begin was not bad. And then you see the stretch of 5 ranked games in a row. It's like, oh my gosh, Rutgers is going to get sunk. They'd be lucky if they can come out of this with 2 wins. And now they've won 4. And hey, they beat Purdue. That's 5 in a row against 5 ranked teams. Rutgers right now playing really, really good basketball. And the stats do show it. Alright, so let's get into the New York Sports Update and wrap up this podcast here. Like I said, just to give you more. So this is Rutgers, by the way, this is Rutgers' remaining schedule. So they have Purdue on Sunday, then Wednesday they'll have Michigan, then next Saturday they'll have Wisconsin, then March 2nd they'll have Indiana, and then they'll finish out their season at home March 6th against Penn State. So that's their rest. That's the remaining schedule. The stats show it. The eye test has proved it. This team's hot. This team's playing really well. And this team can be a serious threat, come March and come Selection Sunday and come the time where it really matters most. Alrighty, so let's get to the New York Sports Update. 5 NBA games on today. This is the final day of NBA up until the All-Star break's over. So we got Heat and the Hornets. I'll take the Heat. Pelicans, Mavericks, game of the Mavericks. Bucks, 76ers, I'll take the Bucks. And Clippers, Rockets, I'll take the Clippers. Nets, Wizards tonight. Nets come into this game 31-27. Wizards come into this game 26-31. Nets are 4.5-point favorites. The over-under is set at 215. This game's on today. 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Yes. 66% feeling the Wizards are going to win this game. I'll take the Nets. Coming off on a high. Not overly optimistic because I could see it be one of these slow type games, but I'll take the Nets anyway. As for the world of hockey, we got the Blues. Canada's there it is. Canada, by the way, won gold against the U.S. women's team, 3-2. So U.S. hockey this year goes out empty-handed with any golds in the Winter Olympics. Blues, Canadians, I'll take Blues. Capitals, Flyers, I'll take the Capitals. Maple Leafs, Penguins, give me the Maple Leafs. Senators, Sabres, I'll take the Sabres. Islanders, Bruins, I'll take the Bruins. Jets, Kraken, I'll take the Jets. Blackhawks, Blue Jackets, I'll take the Blackhawks. Oilers, Ducks, give me the Oilers. And Sharks, Canucks, I will take the Canucks. Actually, I'll take the Sharks. As for the Rangers and the Red Wings, Rangers come into this game 31-13-4. Red Wings come into this game at 500, at the NHL 500 mark of 22-22-6. The over-under is set at 6 as well. This game is on tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern on MSG. 80% of people in the Rangers will win this game. I'm optimistic. Give me the Rangers. Igor Shesterkin has been phenomenal. I also want to get to him. I want to talk about him. I've been wanting to talk about him for a little bit now. He just continues to dominate, continues to make saves left and right. Look, Rangers need to be better on 5-on-5, and there's no other way to put it. We could score power plays, goals, that's great. Come playoff time, though, you're not going to get as many power plays. So Rangers need to start scoring more 5-on-5 goals and need to start forcing more pressure on 5-on-5 and get more opportunities and take advantage of those opportunities. But I think we will win, and I want to see more of that as this season goes on. Because come playoff time, you're going to need, the teams that are going on 5-on-5 win. That's the reality of it. Teams that are physical, force pressure, and are good on 5-on-5 win. I think that's just the basic hockey. That's just how it is. So Rangers definitely need to step that up, and hopefully, against these winnable games against teams like the Red Wings, where it might give you, they'll give you a little bit more space, not as good, not as physical. Get more space to work with. These are the type of games that you got to take advantage of and work on your 5-on-5 and get some pressure and get some goals. But I'll take the Rangers. Tonight we got Murray State and Austin, PA. I'll take Murray State. Arizona and Oregon State. I'll take Arizona. Houston, UCF. I'll take Houston. UCLA, Washington State. I'll take UCLA. And USC, Washington. I'll take USC. By the way, I don't know if it's just me. I could probably look back at my March Madness bracket, but last season, I believe Oregon State, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Oregon State last year was a March Madness team, and I believe they beat Tennessee in the first round. Or unless if I'm thinking of Oklahoma State, which I don't think I'm thinking of because I believe Oklahoma State lost first round. Because I remember it was the big story with Cade Cunningham. Oregon State this season, just the reason why I'm talking about it, they are 3-20. 3-20 this season. And their 3 wins have now come against let's see. They've gotten wins against Utah, Nicholls State, and Portland State. I just don't understand. They lost to Samford. Princeton beat them. Just some bad losses. Some really, really bad losses. Interesting. It really is odd. Because a team that last season was winning. They got to the March Madness. And now they're 3-20. That's bad. 3-20 is really bad. Losing to teams like Nicholls, or losing to teams like UC Davis and Samford. Nothing against those schools. Tulsa, but if you're a part, come on. If you're a part of the Pac-12, you should be winning those games. So, give me Arizona by a lot. But I was thinking about that because I was looking at it today. And I was like, I remember in the March Madness, and I was thinking about it, like, last season, I believe Oregon State beat them. And I believe I don't know if I did or not, but I think I had Oregon State, or one of my brackets, I had Oregon State beating Tennessee. And now they're 3-20 this year. It's like, what's happening? I don't watch them, but just... It's funny what a year can make in terms of a team and how good they do. Either way, let's get to fantasy basketball. I'm currently losing 733 to 666. Luckily, tonight I got 4 guys that are all playing and all expected to play. Brandon Ingram, Miles Bridges, Kelly Oubre and Tyrese Maxey. So this will be the final fantasy basketball update for a little bit up until the season after the All-Star break. So that will do it for the podcast today. Nets on tonight, fresh off a 28-point comeback last night. Crazy. Still so happy about that win. I've kind of got to get into the mode of shift my focus to tonight's game because, I guess I can enjoy this win all the way up until tip of tonight's game. So, and then once tonight's game hit, it's a whole new opportunity. And look, like I said, for a team that was on 11-game losing streak, you make the trade to win against Kings, to win against the Knicks, and if you can get a win tonight, you go into the All-Star break with 3 straight, and we're only getting more healthy, and we're only getting more pieces coming out of the break. You got to feel optimistic. You got to feel much better than you felt, a couple days ago. So, hoping for another net win tonight. Nets tonight, Rangers, Islanders as well. Rangers at home against the Red Wings, and Islanders as well at home against the Bruins. And that's what's happening in the world of New York sports tonight. Sabres are also home up in Buffalo against the Senators. That will do it. As always, I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.